A girl sends a message saying she's going to break up and a protagonist starts crying. He's in disbelief, wondering if it was a joke. He thinks she's not serious because he had plans for their future relationship and was even thinking about marriage. However, he gets blocked and agonizes in his chair. A friend was going to call him to play but ends up seeing the protagonist pass out. The friend tries to help but he storms out, slamming the door. His friends are outraged because he cannot maintain a relationship. Chen Yuan is a famous dog licker. He just follows girls around spending money on them and gets nowhere. He's outraged that after 3 years he got nowhere with Chu Tong. The scene shifts to them talking and a group of people watch them. The protagonist begs for forgiveness and gives her a pivot plush toy, her favorite animal. People around them gossip that he had 4 jobs to support her. Chu Tong explains that everything is fine, but after some time thinking she realized she wanted to get back with her ex. The protagonist knows her ex and calls him a jerk. He tells her to her face that her ex cheated on her and left her pregnant. Suddenly a car appears and a guy calls her to get in. Chu Tong's ex does not like them talking and drives her off while she says that this way is better. At the convenience store, the protagonist is devastated. As a bootlicker, he thinks he will never have a relationship. But a system appears showing his information named Chen Yuan with 230 Chinese coins and personal wealth and 1 strength point. However, it also shows another piece of information saying he has 90 billion Chinese coins to be a dog licker. He wonders what's happening. A girl approaches him asking if something is wrong with him because he keeps staring at her chest. The protagonist looks at her and starts analyzing her stats. The system shows her name is Hyulil. She is 21 years old, 165 centimeters tall, weighs 49 kilograms and is almost an 8 in appearance. Her favorability towards the protagonist is -50. The system informs him that if a chosen woman reaches 95 favorability points, she can become his bootlicker. The protagonist is confused, wondering if he has to use the 90 billion given by the system on women. The system informs him that the 90 billion coins can be spent and that they have been credited to his card. It also states that they only work on women, and when he reaches 95 favorability points he earns a tenth of the spent value back along with some other rewards. Now convinced, the protagonist invites Hyulil to eat, saying he will pay for everything. The system informs him that everything is set and he can spend on her. When he reaches 95 favorability points with a girl, he also gets 5 points as a reward which can be used to enhance his abilities. The girl looks at him and asks if he is trying to show off his wealth. Hyulil is unsure if he is trying to flirt with her and if he can succeed. The protagonist keeps staring at Hyulil and remembers that she is very powerful since she made a guy spend more than 30,000 with just 3 words. He responds to her provocation saying that if she does not test him she will not find out. She then accepts and tells him to buy snacks for everyone in the class. Hyulil looks down on him, thinking he dresses like a beggar and yet wants to flirt with her, so she will have to teach him a lesson. But the protagonist spends 50,000 without worry. A group of people who were speaking ill of him realize he is rich but does not dress like it. The protagonist tells her to relax, saying that amount is nothing to him. Not being a fool, he asks her to add him. Hyulil is confused, wondering if he is a second-generation rich kid, implying he inherited everything and is a multi-millionaire. She says she can add him, but he must go to a special place first. Let's see how I will deal with you, Hyulil thinks. In front of a Gucci store. She says she is not a materialistic person, she just wants to be sure of his sincerity and actions. Given his clothing, the protagonist thinks he will be thrown out. But Chen Yuan tells Hyulil is fine and she can buy whatever she wants. Entering the store, the protagonist sees his ex as accompanied. She and Jun Kai are talking about a bag she is trying on. Chu Tong notices the protagonist is not alone. Hyulil asks the protagonist if that is his ex-girlfriend, saying is not a good time for them to be there. He says there is no bad time, they arrived at the perfect moment. You still have that spring collection bag? Hyulil asks. The store clerk responds they only have 1 unit left, but Chutong is trying it on. The protagonist's ex is confused and says she will show the difference between a loser and a Junkai. Chutong tells Junkai that her birthday is coming up. He is confused, remembering that her birthday was recently. But she explains that the previous birthday was based on the lunar calendar and asked if he knows people also have birthdays based on the solar calendar. Don't you know that I don't like materialistic girls? You're not with me for money, right? Junkai responds. Chutong is speechless. After this conversation, Hyulul takes Chutong's bag, saying she will buy it since it seems Chutong doesn't have money. Using the protagonist's money, he gains 20 favorability points with Hyulul. Swiping the card, he gains another 20, and as she smells the bag, he gains another 20. He is excited, thinking about how money improves things and that the bag made him gain 60 points. At this rate, he will quickly reach the top of her favorability. The problem is that if he reaches 95 favorability with her without spending much, only buying those cheap bags, he won't get much money back. The store attendants seem confused, saying that some guys appear rich but don't like to spend on their girlfriends, while the poorly dressed protagonist is giving Hyulul the best. Chutong is left humiliated on the floor while Hyulul stands there saying that a bag is like a boyfriend. It's good to hold on tightly. She looks at the protagonist thinking she can't lose him and gives him some compliments. Chutong, with tears in her eyes, bumps into him, saying he has gone too far. Too far? Haha, Chutong, you still have a lot to suffer, the protagonist says. But with her aggressive move, the protagonist activated the system's second relationship. It begins to show her information. Name is Chutong, 21 years old, 163 centimeters tall, weighing 49 kilograms. She has a slightly higher rating than Hyulul and has -10 favorability with the same goal of 95 favorability. Are you relieved? Did I do a good job? Didn't I? Where are we going now? Hyulul says. The protagonist says the night is just starting and he has plenty of money, asking if she is satisfied with just one bag. And she starts grabbing everything she can, ending up full of bags. The protagonist gives the card. The store attendants say they will deliver to the address after the purchase is finalized. Kenyun keeps gaining favorability with Hyulul, another 5 points. Swipes the card, another 5. Swipes the card, another 5. Hyulul gets tired of buying clothes and doesn't even know where she will put all of it. Not enough space. Doesn't matter. I'll buy you a house, says the protagonist. But this made him lose some favorability. Hyulul says they should take it easy since they have spent a lot. The protagonist understands he scared her and that it's not normal for someone to buy a house for another person so quickly, even for a multimillionaire. Hyulul, a junior at the Fine Arts College, 21 years old, 49 kilograms, and her favorite color is black. The protagonist says, implying he knows her well. He asks the store attendant if they have a card he can give to Hyulul. She says they do. Then the protagonist asks to put 500,000 credits on the card for Hyulul to spend whenever she wants. Kenyun gives the card as an apology for the misunderstanding. She blushes and feels happy. He whispers in her ear that if she can't resist, she should just give in to him. Oh, you bad boy, you're a bad boy, my god, Hyulul says. And he gains another 30 favorability points. The store attendants go crazy over how attentive and caring he is with her. The protagonist says that having money makes it much easier to flirt with people. Hyulul asks him if even though he buys a lot for her, he doesn't buy clothes for himself. The protagonist says he doesn't have much money. Hyulul, wanting to impress the protagonist, takes him to buy some clothes. She starts spending the 50,000 her father sent, paying for a haircut, some clothes and sneakers. Hyulul is impressed seeing the protagonist with a new haircut and sneakers, and he gains another 5 favorability points. Another 5, another 5. The protagonist asks if he did something wrong since he never spent money on himself before. She puts her hand on Chen Yuan's chin and says there's nothing wrong with him. She just thinks now they make a good couple. She thanks him saying it was a very special day. Now Zulil has 68 favorability points. Back at the dormitory his friends ask what he did all day and why he is all dressed up. Ken Yuan says he was on a date with Zulila. His friends give some advice reminding him that not long ago he was suffering over his ex and now he is with Zulil. They suggest he stay away from her or he will end up very poor. The protagonist thanks them for the advice. Then he receives a notification from Chu Tong saying that if he hates her it's best they delete each other's numbers. Chen Yuan looks at the phone thinking about how he will increase favorability with her since she wants him to delete her number but he wants to earn money with her. Of course not, how could that be possible? You always have a special place in my heart, the protagonist says, sending the message. She responds saying she is not with that guy because she wants to be but because her mother is sick and needs 50,000 for medical procedures. Chu Tong is impressed realizing she was only playing with him and receives a notification of 50,000 that the protagonist sent. Chu Tong's friend asks who sent that money. She responds that it was her ex who sent it. Wait, Chen Yuan, didn't you dump him today? That loser is this rich. Chu Tong starts wondering if she made a mistake by leaving him, and even after he sent 50,000 to Chu Tong he only gained 5 favorability points. She asks Chen Yuan several questions such as what he meant by sending the money, where he got all that money, why Zulila was with him, why he didn't buy a bag for her, and if he might be a second-generation rich kid. The protagonist silences her after she sends 15 messages in a row and wonders if there is a more fun way to spend money on women. He finds a girl doing a live stream but there are only a few minutes left until she closes. She gets frustrated and asks if anyone's going to send gifts or if she should end the live stream. The protagonist sees that he can send up to 1 million and thinks it's much better than buying bags. He starts a frenzy of sending multiple gifts. The girl thanks him for sending a rocket, but then 100 rockets appear on the girl's screen. The people in the live chat get angry wondering who sent all the gifts. Chen Yuan realizes that someone with a lot of money gets a lot of attention and sends 900 more rockets, causing her phone to crash. At the company where the girl does her live streams, an employee informs the boss that something incredible happened. A guy spent 10 million on Xiaomi's live stream. The staff goes wild, unsure if the protagonist is laundering money through the site or if he is affiliated with the company. All the other girls doing live streams see the protagonist's nickname and are amazed that he spent 10 million on Xiaomi's live stream and try to send him messages in his DM. Chen Yuan just watches the messages come in. The girl that received the gifts wonders if it's all real, but then a guy with a sign comes over saying he needs to get the protagonist's contact information and will get a raise for it. The girl sends him a message thanking him for the gifts. She asks if he is still in the live chat since she's about to close, but Chen Yuan had gone to sleep after spending money all day. The next morning his friends are looking at news online about a guy who spent 10 million on a girl's live stream, and the guys are discussing what they would do if they had that kind of money. The protagonist realizes he spent all that money and didn't create any kind of relationship with her, so he opens TikTok and sees a bunch of girls sending him messages. One girl says she is 28 years old and divorced, asking if he wants to meet her. She is frustrated since the protagonist doesn't respond to her messages, inviting him to her studio and saying she's waiting for him. He isn't very excited about these messages since he doesn't gain any favorability. His friends are still discussing the amount of money and getting ready to go out. The protagonist asks his friends where they are going without him, and they respond that they are going to see the goddess Zhao Yuqi and are going early because they want to see her up close. His friends ask if he had forgotten because normally he runs ahead just to be there from the moment she arrives until she leaves. A system shows her information. Name is Zhao Yuqi. She is the beauty of Hunan campus, the vice president of the student council and the dream of all the students. She is level 10 in piano and athlete, a professional in ballet and fencing. Her incredible talents make it extremely difficult for any guy to get close to her, an unattainable woman for all the boys in college. In the last 3 years no one has been able to get close to her. The protagonist feels challenged since she is the most difficult girl, meaning he will have to spend more money. Su Tang is nearby talking to her friend, saying that Chen Yuan only learned how to dress up after they broke up and says she is afraid he and Zheng Kai will fight because of her. Her favorability is only going up, gains another 10, gains another 10. The protagonist is annoyed, saying that favorability is only going up because he dressed up, but it's all nonsense. His real focus is Zhao Yuqi. One of the guys nearby is talking about wanting to see how his boss will win over the goddess Zhao Yuqi, and he says she will fall in love with him. He approaches her asking for her contact information when another guy comes up asking what he is doing. He doesn't care about what that guy is saying and continues talking to her, insisting that she adds him, saying he wants to get to know her better and be friends with her. The angry guy demands to know if it is looking for trouble and what he plans to do with Yuqi. Taken aback, claims it's a misunderstanding and that he just wanted to join the student union because she is the vice president and he wanted some advice. The angry guy scolds him, saying that's not a good enough excuse to hit on her, calling him a pervert. But the protagonist, undeterred, asks if she can add him on Snapchat. She looks puzzled, wondering why so much is happening. The protagonist remains confident that she will add him. The president says he is bold and courageous for putting himself out there for everyone to mock. The other guy admits the protagonist is even more handsome than the last one and asks if he wants to join the student union too. The protagonist replies no, he doesn't care about the student union. The guy is confused why he wants Yuqi's snap. Ken Yuan says he just wants to pursue her. Students from another class watch, noting another guy trying to talk to her, but at least the protagonist is bold. Zhao Yuqi decides to give him her contact information. Su Bang's friend asks what's going on between them. I like beautiful women, why should I hide that? Sometimes the simplest approach is the most effective. What Wenan doesn't like being pursued, says the protagonist. It shows that he has formed a bootlicker relationship with her, but with zero favorability. He is happy but confused since she gave her contact to someone with zero favorability. Outside the class, his friends say he nailed it by getting Yuqi's contact, since he used to seem like a bootlicker and now looks confident. One of the protagonist's friends jokes that if he gets close to the president he will have to introduce them to her friends. The protagonist doubts he will manage to talk to her, saying they are exaggerating since she is the most beautiful girl on campus. A guy behind him yells, calling him a loser but admitting he has good sense, revealing himself as the one who tried to hit on her and got rejected. Ken Yuan says he is the most professional of all and that the protagonist has much to learn from him. The guy starts mocking him, saying he is proud for nothing since he only got her number, and asks if Chen Yuan knows him. But the protagonist just laughs in his face. Then Su Liao appears, asking why Chen Yuan took so long, in saying she has been waiting for him for a long time. Everyone is shocked that Su Liao, known for rejecting all kinds of guys, was waiting for this guy. The protagonist invites Yik Su Liao to eat as an apology for making her wait. Su Liao asks if she looks pretty in the clothes he bought her. Meanwhile, Chu Tong, very angry, listens nearby. The protagonist replies that no girl looks pretty just because of clothes. The couple walks off, everyone watching them. The rejected guy says he doesn't understand, he was just one step behind the protagonist. But he stops complaining when he sees Chu Tong nearby, asking who that girl was. Su Liao hands him a drawing she made of him, saying she stayed up all night drawing and if he throws it away she will never forgive him. The protagonist says it's the first time since he was born that he's received a gift from a girl, and she asks if he liked it. He stares at her and asks if all this is just a game to keep him. Su Liao wonders if he liked the drawing, as he doesn't seem very happy. He asks if she will give him better gifts in the future than just drawings. She gets angry and asks for a drawing back. He says he won't return it and will keep it as a family heirloom. The protagonist tells her he likes her more as a person than any gifts she could give. She is impressed by how good he is at flirting. Another 5 favorability points. The protagonist thinks she wants him to become her pet, but he plans to use her to make more money. A guy interrupts asking if Su Liao isn't going to do her nails, who the protagonist is, and he is rich. The protagonist thinks this guy is another of Su Liao's bootlickers, noting that this happens often. Su Liao says she doesn't know who he is and that he doesn't control her. The protagonist steps forward, introduces himself and asks the guy's name and how long he has been following Su Liao. The guy responds that his name is Yang Yu. He's from the arts department and has been following her for 6 months. The protagonist tells him that it's nonsense and shares his own story about being replaced by a girl he followed for 3 years, working 4 jobs, eating just bread every day, only to be replaced by a guy with a Mercedes-Benz. Yang Yu doesn't understand why he is sharing this story. The protagonist tries to motivate him, saying that people who turn their backs on you become motivation for personal development, and asks why a real man can't have a wife. He tells Yang Yu to go back to his dormitory and make her regret her decision. Yang Yu is so inspired that he starts crying. Even Su Liao wonders what is happening and why Yang Yu is crying. She awkwardly says that he is just a friend. The protagonist says he doesn't care about her past and points out that she doesn't respect him or herself. He tears up the drawing and tells her she can use the card he gave her, but he doesn't want to see her until she sorts out her relationships. The protagonist wants to see how she will handle this situation, as it's the first time this has happened. Su Liao regrets her actions, realizing the protagonist is the first person who truly liked her. And another 5 favorability points. Can Yuan reflect on how he has matured, resolve things with Su Liao, and now it's time to move on. He goes to talk to Zhao Yuqi and sees that she is live streaming. She seems the most innocent so far and not having done anything horrible to be hated for. She is doing her live, introducing herself as Kiki, training piano, doing live streams for 2 days and asking people to take care of her. The protagonist thinks she is cute and wonders if the president is the type of girl who is cold outside but warm inside. Arrogantly, he notices that she has few views and wonders if that's all she gets. At this moment, Xiaomi sends a message asking where he is. He asks who she is. She thinks he has forgotten about her and says he sent many gifts in her live stream and now doesn't remember her. He says he was just joking and asks if she is free to meet up. She says she can't if she has a busy schedule. He just ignores her. She asks him not to be angry, promising a special live stream. The protagonist, annoyed, complains that she still wants him to send gifts. He doesn't have a bootlicker system with her and has already spent over 10 million. Tired of the situation, he decides to give that money to Zhao. A duel appears on the live stream, a one-on-one between streamers. One will compete and it's the other, and whoever receives more donations wins. They have to compete to get money. The protagonist is happy about the duel involving the president and asks who her opponent is. The crazy girl laughs at the situation, confident she will win against a novice. The protagonist says he doesn't know who will win and the duel begins. Xiaomi has 10,000 points while Yuki is poor with 206. She is giving her best, using all her talent, charisma, genius, and wit, creating a masterpiece. Xiaomi taunts Zhao, saying it's better for her to give up since she has the support of a very rich guy, Chen Yuan. The chat goes wild over this duel. It seems I use all my skills to make money and surely Boss Smokey will be impressed and donate to me, Xiaomi thinks. But then a rock appears on the screen and she thinks Yuan has arrived. She prepares to thank the protagonist, but then she sees that all the rockets went to Yuki's live stream. Yuki's points jump to 152,000. A notification pops up saying Lonely Smoke donated 1,000 rockets to Kiki. The president is in shock and Xiaomi is outraged that the rockets weren't for her. A guy with a sign appears demanding an explanation for why she didn't receive the rockets. Shaking, Xiaomi apologizes to the audience, saying she has to do something, and ends the live. The protagonist comments that she can't handle it when he sends gifts to others and wanted to see her reaction. He hopes the president won't disappoint considering the significant amount he spent. The people at the company go crazy thinking the ghost has done it again, imagining that the protagonist must be the son of some prince to pull off such a stunt. My god, the smoke donated another 10 million to a girl who plays the piano. Does he like music? Xiaolei, get my triangle now, says a streamer. Kiki and her friend talk with her friends, suggesting that the president might become an internet celebrity, impressed by the idea. Yuki responds that pleasing men online doesn't seem like a long-term solution. She emphasizes that the most important thing for a woman is to have a financially and personally independent career. Kiki's friend asks if she knows the guy, but she has no idea who it was. Kiki tells her friend she wants to send a thank you message for the gifts. Her friend is indignant, reminding her that she said she didn't want to get involved with anyone. Then she exclaims, saying maybe she knows the guy, thinking he must be the son of someone very wealthy. She speculates that he must be extremely talented and raised in an extremely rich family, but prefers to live an ordinary life, thus finding a common girl and deciding to like her as a common man. She explains to her friend, saying it must be that. Her friend dismisses it, saying she's been watching too many dramas. Kiki imagines how difficult his life must be pretending to be an ordinary guy. Her friend tells her to go to sleep, saying it's late, but Kiki really wants to thank Chen. The protagonist looks at his phone and sees a message from a girl asking if he's free to eat, and he says he wants to eat his favorite dish, crayfish. She agrees and says she'll meet him at the school gate in the afternoon. She didn't ask where I got the money for the gifts, just invited me to dinner. I want to see what she's up to, he thinks, staring at his phone. The next morning the protagonist arrives at school on his scooter. A guy standing by a Mercedes asks if he's waiting for someone. The protagonist asks if he's waiting for someone too. The guy says he's waiting for his girlfriend. Then the pianist arrives and the guy tells the protagonist not to look too much, because to win over someone like her you need to work hard and have a lot of money, or he will take all the beautiful girls. Kiki sees the protagonist and imagines him as a hero on a motorcycle. She runs towards him. The guy thinks, how you think you can get into my car? But then she goes to the protagonist's scooter and the guy is stunned. He wonders what's the point of having so much money. They ride off on the scooter and she imagines herself as his fiancée. They arrive at the restaurant. They order some spicy crayfish. The dish arrives and they think it must be wonderful. The protagonist romantically arranges the table for her. She thinks he hasn't forgotten how to be a gentleman, even with the opportunity to go to expensive restaurants, giving off a noble family vibe and being disciplined. The protagonist is eating the small crayfish and she comments that it must be the smallest crayfish he has eaten. Kiki is impressed that Chen Yuan is eating with her, thinking he wants to live a peaceful life without much worry, and says he is as gentle as a flower. The protagonist wonders why he suddenly gained another 10 favorability points. Then Kiki offers to feed him, saying she peeled the crayfish for him. Just as he is about to eat, someone arrives. It's Chutong again, wondering if she saw Kiki feeding Chen Yuan the crayfish. She turns to her boyfriend and says the place is crowded and suggests they find a better spot. But the guy asks if the restaurant is crowded or full of familiar faces, saying he doesn't mind eating in a crowded place. Chutong's boyfriend walks up to the protagonist's table and throws $500 at him, saying it's for him to get up so they can sit there. What the hell does he think? Does he think this is cool? The protagonist wonders. The guy throws more money, telling him to leave quickly and asking if he wants more. Kiki, holding her bag in anger, looks furious. The protagonist sees Kiki is upset, thinking it's because of the guy. She is stressed, wondering where this guy came from to ruin their perfect date. The guy pulls out more Monopoly money, saying he has much more to make him leave. A staff member offers to take the money and find them a table. This only angers Chutong's boyfriend more, saying he wants to eat at that table. Then someone hits him with a handbag. A previously unknown woman pretends it was an accident. Angry Chen is confused about what's happening. The blonde guy seems to know the woman and calls her by name Chokam. He asks what she's doing there. She angrily says that if she wasn't there she wouldn't have caught him cheating, already cursing him. The guy says she's misunderstanding and that he can't cheat on her since she's everything to him. Ken's admirers are just watching, pulls the blonde's hair, blaming her for using her body to seduce him. The girl cries, saying he invited her and lied about being single. The guy says she's making up stories and slaps her face. She collapses on the floor, devastated. He moves to slap her head, but his hand is stopped. Hitting a woman, huh? You really enjoy embarrassing yourself, don't you? The protagonist says, and Lonely Smoke gains another 20 favorability points. Chutong says the protagonist really loves her. The protagonist keeps gaining favorability, another 20 favorability points with Chutong. The second target of the bootlicker system reached over 95 points. The system congratulates Chen Yuan, saying he successfully reversed the bootlicker situation. It shows that Chen Yuan spent 50,000 on the second target and informs him that he will receive 5,000 in return. Chutong has been converted into the protagonist's bootlicker and he gains 20 strength points. Chen Yuan allocates 10 points to strength and 10 points to fitness. He flexes his arm and the blonde guy demands that Chen let go of his arm and grabs a bottle, threatening to kill him. Chen stares and says the guy is annoying, then punches the bottle and the guy, sending him flying. The guy falls to the ground looking defeated, and Chen says that depending on a woman is not shameful, but hitting a woman while doing so makes one despicable. The blonde is biting his lips, clutching a balloon popper. The girl with Chen Yuan is nervous, urging him to end it quickly. Chutong's boyfriend charges at the protagonist, but thanks to his new points Chen dodges quickly, causing the blonde guy to hit his elbow and collapse to the ground. Everyone eating in the food court is nervous. The blonde guy is on the ground, foaming at the mouth. Chen walks away with his hand in his pocket, the young girl beside him. Chutong, now a bootlicker, watches and clings to Chen's leg, begging for forgiveness and a second chance. Cold and calculating Chen reminds her of the guy who ran over 10 kilometers with her on his back at 3 a.m. to take her to the hospital, the one who saved money for half a year to buy her phone only for her to ignore it because it wasn't the latest model, and the one who, despite knowing all her unnecessary vanity, always thought of her as a good person. He tells her that all those guys are dead. Outside talking with the president, he apologizes for everything that happened. She says calling her president is too formal and that he can call her Kiki. She says it didn't bother her and that she saw a different side of someone. She thinks Chen Yuan is more intriguing the more she gets to know him, imagining that he will bring countless surprises to her. Arriving home, Chutong is crying, soaked from the rain. Her friend asks why she didn't use an umbrella. Chutong is too nervous to speak hookily. Her friend then asks if it was the protagonist, saying she heard he gave 10 million to Zhao in her live stream. She says Chen Yuan may not look like it, but he is very rich. What? More than 10 million? Where? Did you hear this? Is it true? Chutong asks. Yes, Zhao's classmates spread the news to everyone, her friend replies. She can't believe what her friend is saying. She screams Chen Yuan's name for everyone to hear. In the room, the protagonist's friends are playing Mobile League of Legends. They ask how he's so good, winning 18 matches in a row. The protagonist hadn't imagined that adding 20 attribute points would make him so good online games. A guy with a cool hairstyle suggests that with this talent he could become a streamer, earning millions and getting some hype. He is amazed at the power the attribute points have given him. Looking at himself, he wonders who will benefit from his body next. At the door, his friends shout for him to come out. His phone is ringing. Chen Yuan wonders what tactics she will use to manipulate him now. The protagonist answers the phone, but he is cold. Hello, Miss Gashu Liao. Is there something you need to inform me about? The protagonist answers. She starts crying, saying she doesn't know what to do. It shows her in an abandoned room full of Chen Yuan's purchases. She asked to borrow 500,000 from him. Zhu Liao says her family was once prosperous but now they're stuck in debt, unable to pay off the interest, making no progress and just needing to clear the debts. The protagonist only asks two things: what she wants and to send the account details. She is shocked, thinking he wouldn't send the money. She quickly sends the account information. The protagonist sends 5 million. She says he mistakenly deposited 5 million. He says he must have pressed an extra zero and that she can keep the money. She screams in gratitude, and then it keeps coming more. Her favorability keeps increasing. Zhu Liao screams with happiness. I mean cry. Zhu Liao thanks the protagonist and promises to pay him back when she can. Her favorability continues to rise, now reaching 94. The protagonist sees her favorability at 94 points, complains about not being able to win her over quickly and considers confessing, but quickly dismisses the thought, as those who reveal their true feelings lose. The next day the protagonist is hanging out with his friends when someone calls his name from behind. When he turns around, it's Chu Tong holding some pastries and asking if he wants to eat them in the classroom. The protagonist's friend is shocked, wondering why she's bringing breakfast for Chen Yuan. But then Yuan hears someone else calling him and sees it's Liao, who also brought breakfast, saying he must be tired of eating cafeteria food. They face off in a bootlicker showdown. However, once again someone else calls Chen Yuan. His friends are outraged that he has yet another girl. The protagonist wonders who it is this time. It's the president, who brought raiment for them to eat. The three girls glare at each other. The president is the second most beautiful girl on campus with a commanding aura. The protagonist receives the raiment and asks how she knew he liked raiment with meat. She says it was easy to guess since they had a date. Chen Yuan isn't even trying to seduce anymore. He just wants to see who can seduce him better. The protagonist says that President Zhao easily wins since she understands his tastes. Setting a subtle jab to the other bootlickers, Kiki says she wouldn't deliver breakfast without knowing his preferences, and that if someone doesn't pay attention to such details, he doesn't like them. After saying this, it felt like she had delivered a spinning punch to the other two. Then she gives him a gift to show her gratitude. The protagonist is impressed. It's the new iPhone. All his friends are stunned to see the latest generation phone. One of the protagonist's friends says that seeing the girls giving gifts to Chen Yuan is worse than losing his own father. The girls say she was very generous to give a 10,000 item. The protagonist tells Kiki that she didn't need to. She replies that he spent much more on her and it's the thought that counts since she doesn't have much money. In the next scene, Su Tong is desolate, wondering how hard it is to win back Chen Yuan. A few days later, there are now many competitors. Su Lu calls Su Tong to talk in a private place, but Su Tong is very angry, blaming her for everything that is happening. Su Lu approaches and suggests they form an alliance to face Yuki. In the next chapter, the protagonist is there with his iPhone, praising Yuki for the gift. She looks back thinking he said something, but Chen Yuan says it was nothing. The protagonist has 40 favorability points with the warrior. He thinks that if it weren't for those ridiculous 40 favorability points, she would have fallen for him by now. He's impressed with their actions, feeling like she's making him a different person. He is far from completing the favorability points, but she acts as if he already has. His phone rings and it's Xiaomi. The little streamer from TikTok sends him a message saying that last time they couldn't meet, but she was joking and they can meet, though she fears meeting people from her live stream. The protagonist is confused, wondering if that is some kind of excuse. He says she should at least send some photos because he is not easy to win over. He receives a message from someone named Dragon King inviting him to join a legendary group of otakus who are trashy and donate money. Chen Yuan joins the group, now called Solitary Cigarette. Someone is surprised that the Dragon King invited the protagonist, saying he is the biggest donor they have ever seen. The protagonist sends a message introducing himself in the group and asks them to take care of him. Someone says he has the appearance of a rich person and must have some kind of talent. Another person says they have a business and asks if he wants to participate. Chen Yuan, these rich kids want to test me. Fine, I'll play with you, he thinks. Yes, sure, I can help you, let's talk. Message me privately, the protagonist says. Hey big cigarette, I have an insane villa for sale, are you interested? Another person asks. The protagonist asks where the villa is and the person sends the address. The protagonist says the villa is in the Anka district and a house there is worth $1 million. He plans to buy an apartment and will go check it out in the coming days. Inside the mansion, a bald guy asks if the protagonist is really considering buying it and if Chen Yuan really has money since he thinks he doesn't exist. The protagonist receives the address and wonders how much favorability he would gain if he gives this villa to her. The next day, arriving at the villa with the president by his side, she asks why he brought her to the villa so suddenly. Hey, you must be Brother Lou's cigarette, right? Says the guard with the illustrated head. The protagonist recognizes the face and gives him a hug. The guy thinks Chen doesn't look very wealthy, but having the president with him gives him some credibility. He wonders if Chen is from a secret rich family and thinks this will be a tough negotiation. He introduces himself as Hong Yuanxiao and says he has some small businesses but needs to sell the villa due to financial problems. The bald man invites them in. The host describes the house saying it has over 500 square meters, the land is over 2,000 square meters, the decoration was done by designers and the furniture is exclusive and made in Italy. He tells them to enjoy the view of the river and the city and says if he didn't have money he would want to be buried there. Keiki realizes he is serious about buying the place even though it's expensive. Chen Yuan takes a quick look saying he thought the house would be more beautiful and asks how much it costs to live there. The bald man says he needs the money and mentions that many people are interested in the house, making it hard to negotiate. He says he wanted to sell it for about 50 million but asks if 60 million is a fair price. Chen Yuan lets out a hum. The man wonders if the price is too high for him and thinks it's hard to fool the son of a noble. The protagonist says he didn't expect it to be so cheap. Everyone in the room is impressed by the protagonist's response. The bald man thinks he should have asked for more, like 70 or 80 million. The protagonist asks Keiki if they should buy the house. Keiki is surprised but says she doesn't care if he buys it or not. He gets closer and says he's buying this house for her. The bald man is shocked, never imagining he would buy the house for the president. Keiki stands there like a statue, stunned, saying 60 million is too much. She imagines Chen Yuan locking her in the basement, tying her up. She apologizes, saying she can't accept such a gift. The protagonist takes her hand, asking her to listen to him. He explains that there's a restriction on the number of properties he can own and he has several houses. He was thinking of transferring this one to her name. That way she will have her own house. She imagines doing crazy things with him. The protagonist whispers, asking if she thinks relationships are important, saying everything he has is also hers. Gaining another 10 favorability points, another 10, he reaches 90, just 5 more to go. The protagonist thinks he deserves an Oscar, saying his acting skills are improving. The blonde girl nudges the bald man, asking when this will happen to them. The Mosquito Airport guy says he doesn't have money for such gifts. Meanwhile, Chen Yuan swipes his card. He says he will transfer the money and after the paperwork is complete they'll settle the rest. The man tells the protagonist not to worry and that everything will be sorted out in the coming days. The protagonist's plan is going as expected. The president's favorability reaches 90. Chen Yuan thinks that once he completes the favorability, the 70 million he invested will return as more than 700,000. She looks at the protagonist and thinks, considering everything that happened, he's about to say something that will embarrass her. She imagines their perfect wedding, wondering if it will be in Milan or the Maldives. She wonders what the ring will look like, already thinking about the baby's name, and worries if he will forget her when he gets old. But before imagining more, they arrive at their destination. She steps out of the car and asks if Chen Yuan isn't coming out. He says no. A friend invited him to play a game of lull and waves goodbye. She waves back sadly. She feels indignant, expecting more than just a goodbye. Chen Yuan arrives at the internet cafe greeting his friends. They complain he took too long, saying they started a match without him. His friends hurry him to register and play with them as they were losing. The protagonist notices Su Liao is there and is impressed. She explains that her father owns several internet cafes and this one was recently opened. She is there to attract more customers. She thanks him, saying her family's debts are finally paid off. Su Liao tells him to stay where he is because she will get him a drink and a card with unlimited credit to play at the internet cafe. Chen Yuan says it's unnecessary, but something explodes behind him. Two guys appear. One looks like a movie character. He asks Su Liao if she is Lao Su's daughter and when her father will pay the debt. Su Liao, looking disheveled, says her father paid the 5 million debt and asks what they want. The guy says 5 million was just the beginning. There are still 15 million in interest. She says it's a scam and threatens to call the police. The guy grabs Su Liao by the wrist, telling her to be quiet and that if she doesn't want to pay the 15 million they will take her. He says that after 1 or 2 years she would pay off the debt working at his nightclub. The protagonist pulls her arm away, telling the guy to stop if he wants to leave alive. Su Liao goes crazy. The thug says the protagonist doesn't know what he's getting into and orders his men to kill him. Then chaos ensues, with some guys wielding cake cutters and others using their bare hands. The protagonist lands a sneaker kick on the thug's chin. His friends are impressed, saying it looks like a cyclone kick. The scene changes to the thugs running away to avoid getting beaten. The cassia representative says if they see them on the street there will be no more talking. With 95 favorability, Su Liao throws herself into the protagonist's arms. The system congratulates him for getting another person to 95 favorability points and informs him that he spent 5.3 million, so he will earn 530,000. A notification appears. Su Liao has successfully been transformed into your loyal bootlicker. Ken Yuan is hugging her, but Chu Tong is watching in the background. However, he is only concerned about where to allocate the attribute points he received. The chest-only trainer arrives stressed, calling Su Liao a traitor for wanting to form an alliance and now hugging the protagonist. The protagonist watches but grows tired of just watching and asks the system to allocate all points to strength and agility. Everyone wonders where he went, but he simply disappeared. Ken Yuan is calmly walking around the college campus, saying he has already gained points from Chu Tong and Hshu Liao and that only President Zhao is important. Since there is only one president, the protagonist says he needs more girls. Someone approaches, tapping him on the back, asking if he can move aside as the track team needs that area and it would be good if he didn't stay there. Ken Yuan says she is bold but sincere. The protagonist asks for her contact information, but someone else said she is already in a relationship and advises him to leave if he doesn't want trouble. Ken Yuan stares, wondering if he has seen that guy before. He has a flashback and remembers that this thug was beating him up and tells him to look at himself before criticizing others and asks why he was chasing after Zhao Yu. Remembering everything, he says it's easy to find old enemies. The protagonist activates the system on the guy's girlfriend. The system shows her information, stating her name is He Jiaying. She is 19 years old, 1.69 meters tall, weighs 50 kilograms and has an appearance rating of 8.2. Her current favorability is -5. Considering the difficulty, the system will grant more attribute enhancement points. Ken Yuan celebrates, saying he can get 22 points. The jealous guy is in line for the race. People wonder who that guy is in the last lane, saying they have never seen him run. The race starts and the guy runs, saying it's too easy and he must be racing ants. But he doesn't realize the protagonist is passing him at flash speed, leaving only smoke. Ken Yuan asks Lien to watch as the protagonist will win in the sport he trained for his whole life. The guy, almost exploding with rage, asks if Chen Yuan is underestimating him. He doesn't realize, but the protagonist laps him entirely, wondering how this is possible. The protagonist mocks the guy, saying he trained for a decade only to lose to a week's worth of favorability points. The crowd goes wild, everyone impressed that in 15 seconds he is on his 5th lap. Chen Yuan arrives happily at the finish line. The most loyal girl in all of China is impressed that Lian lost. The announcer says something incredible is happening before their eyes, a new champion who will break any existing records. A muscular professor approaches the protagonist, saying Chen Yuan has extraordinary abilities, and asks if he wants to join the track team, promising that with a little more training he can reach the national championship. The humiliated guy asks if the spot wasn't already his. The protagonist mocks Lian, asking if the spot was his, saying it isn't anymore. The last romantic girl in China imagines that the protagonist is a professional runner. With that, she gains 5 favorability points. The loser approaches and asks if she was thinking about something else. She says no, she was just worried about him. Another 5 favorability points and another 5 favorability points. Kiki is back in her room, asking where she was. She asked if she didn't know that the protagonist bought her house. She is shocked by the news and asks if he really bought a house for her. She explains that she was busy visiting the house with him and that it cost 60 million in Anku. Her friend wonders how a president can be so lucky and yet so naive. She picks up her phone and sees something happening on the forums, calling Kiki to see it too. The rumor says that Chen Yuan from Ruei University is a human trash involved in multiple relationships simultaneously, and the two of them look at each other. Chen Yuan wonders if he really was trash, saying he was just spending money, and then it's all slander. 3 cheese puff eaters are celebrating that they are going to ruin the protagonist's reputation. A guy appears behind them, asking what they were doing. The 3 are startled and say that the protagonist has been too arrogant and they are trying to teach him a lesson. The race loser also sees the news about the protagonist and wonders if he isn't the guy from the race. Now that he has the protagonist's name, he remembers beating him up when they were younger. He says they went to the same high school, saying the protagonist was crazy since childhood and has a lot of information about him. The loser says he used to cling to annoy the girls. The 3 boys put him in a chair, asking more questions, wanting more details about the protagonist to post and ruin his reputation. Liang says that after winning that race the protagonist thinks he will get away with it, but he will change how people think about him, saying even the coach won't want to help him, calling him the trash of the university. The news says he is the biggest trash there and that he is involved in relationships with multiple women, always objectifying them, and warns to be careful with him. One guy adds that the girls he got involved with didn't do so voluntarily. They say he bothered the girls so much that even their grade averages dropped. Everyone seeing this says they never imagined that about him. The girls are in shock. In the president's office, he takes the guy's phone and says the protagonist can't stay at the university, but he will personally investigate Chen Yuan and have him expelled. In the next chapter, someone says that Chen Yuan is a very special person, imagining that the protagonist can't see a girl suffering without wanting to spend all this money to help. Kicking the Joker, hate you trash, I hate men who hit women. Whenever night falls, he transforms into a black knight. With strong punches he ends all evil. A mysterious and powerful man protecting the city of desire and sin, and the one who said this was none other than President Kiki. She says that to her the protagonist is a hero. The guys ask if calling him a hero isn't an exaggeration and ask where she got that from. Kiki says it's her intuition. The guys wonder if they can trust her testimony. The guy helping the president says she is the vice president of the student council. A bit quirky but trustworthy. The president frowns, saying he doesn't want to know, and asks them to question other people. The president says no one better than him can be in that place. Now they go to talk to Chu Tong. Hello girl, we have some questions about a classmate of yours. His name is Chen Yuan, please come with us, said the interviewer. Chu Tong says he is too good, but she wasn't enough for him. She also says she was a complete idiot and greedy, acknowledging that she wronged the protagonist and wants him to accept her back, and then she starts crying. A policeman gives her a tissue to wipe her tears. The policeman asks Chu Tong if even after the protagonist rejected her he still continues to be a good person. The president, observing her desperation, says she deserves everything happening to her, saying she isn't worthy of his love and he did nothing wrong. The stressed president leaves the room, angrily lights a cigarette to ease his jealousy, wondering if he did something wrong. He sees that the protagonist is innocent and people just want to ruin his reputation. Looking down, he sees two people arriving, wondering who they are holding the banner. It's Kashu Lu and her father. The president introduces himself and asks why they are there. I am Su Lu from the arts department and I wanted to make a banner for Chen Yuan. Her father explains that the protagonist protected his daughter a few days ago and helped his family a lot. The president is even more impressed and jealous of the protagonist. With that, he says goodbye. He says he probably blamed the wrong person and wants to look at the post again, seeing that a girl commented saying if he is trash she is throwing herself into the dumpster. The girls are all sharing, the protagonist is running. Various girls praise him, saying that when they saw him their hearts beat faster. The president is impressed because only women are defending him. He thinks people are doing this to him because he stands out so much. The president says he understands Chen Yuan and that you will bring justice and not tolerate any complaints or offenses against him. The president gathers all the students to talk about the rumors regarding Chen Yuan on the school forum. He says he conducted a thorough investigation and admits that the protagonist is honest and that all the rumors about him are mere slander. He is there to clear Chen Yuan's name. The president gives a notice that the protagonist is willing to help everyone, mentioning that Chen Yuan has protected many people and doesn't like to take credit, hence keeping it a secret. Each praises on Chen Yuan and, almost crying, presents him with an award for people who positively contribute to society, advising all students to learn from their classmate. The protagonist wonders what is happening, saying he doesn't understand anything and why he is receiving this certificate if it was for protecting someone. Ling wonders what is going on, cursing the president since the protagonist's reputation was supposed to be destroyed, saying he should be in Chen Yuan's place. He notices his girlfriend is making some compliments about the protagonist and a favorability rises. Another 10, another 10. The meeting ends and everyone is leaving. She asks if he's gone mad or isn't feeling well and why he is so jealous of the protagonist. She says she has genuine admiration for her classmate. Even after helping so many people, Chen Yuan doesn't care about fame or wealth. She brings up him winning the race against Liang and yet not wanting to join the track team, saying this act is a sign of incredible people. He grabs her wrist forcefully. She tells him to shut up and let go, saying he's hurting her. The loser gets close to her. Chen Yuan is useless. Liang starts boasting about having a Tesla and many more things than him. But right next to them, the protagonist calls the bald man to pick him up, saying he doesn't want to be picked up in an expensive car and wants to maintain a humble profile. This is just the illustrated head who came in one of the new cars. The bald man apologizes, saying he was sure on time so he came in that car. The protagonist gets angry and tells him to pay more attention, as he said not to come in an expensive car. The guy says he understood the message. Both of them look on, and with that the protagonist leaves. Liang's girlfriend says she's tired of the situation and wants to break up. He says that's impossible, but he ends up desolate on the ground. Chen Yuan transfers some money to the bald man. The guy thanks him. The protagonist says that while everything is being resolved he will return to school. The bald man offers a ride, but Chen Yuan says it's unnecessary as the car draws too much attention. The guy says okay and just asks the protagonist to be careful. Walking through the city, the protagonist says that the priority is President Zhao needing just a little more to complete the system and get the 25 attribute points. He says he has to buy something for her and wonders if the chubby guy has anything to sell again. Looking at the group chat, everyone comments that even with a bit of conversation the protagonist bought the house. One guy says Chen Yuan has a lot of money available. The protagonist tells them to relax, saying he bought it just to help a friend. The guys are shocked and the protagonist shows up. Everyone in the group adores him. A guy with a car photo asks if he doesn't want to buy a luxury car, saying he knows some people who sell them. Then a guy calls him, saying that the Zhang family has a small business with imported cars and it's a pleasure to meet the protagonist. The protagonist looks at the card and sees it says Zhang Group. Chen Yuan imagines that his family has a giant industry and that he must be a second-generation rich kid. He tells Zhang that managing such a big car business at his age is impressive. The guy says he thought the protagonist was older considering he bought that house. They chat, and from a distance two girls wonder who Chen Yuan is, thinking he must be the son of some wealthy family given that manager Zhang received him, but they dismiss him thinking they have no chance with him. The manager doesn't want to brag but says he has the store with the largest collection of luxury cars in the city, saying the protagonist can ask for any car he wants. The protagonist thinks of the legendary car and says he wants a Bugatti Chiron. The guy thinks Chen Yuan must be joking as there are very few units. The protagonist says he doesn't have it and Zhang feels embarrassed. Chen Yuan asks if they have a Lamborghini Veneno. Zhang responds that they do not. The protagonist asks if they have a Pagani Huayra. Zhang replies that they don't have that either. The salesperson is sweating profusely, saying that Chen Yuan is rooming the place. The manager explains that the vehicles they have for sale range from 2 to 8 million and the cars the protagonist wants are a bit out of that range. The protagonist is disappointed, saying he expected more from Zhang, who claimed to have luxury cars. Zhang thinks the protagonist must be joking since he bought a house at that price, but it seems he wants a car of similar value. The manager says they don't have the cars he wants, but they do have a Ferrari LaFerrari that he should take a look at. He mentions it is one of Ferrari's rarest cars with a V12 engine producing 800 horsepower dual transmission, and it goes from 0 to 100 km/ in under 3 seconds, costing only 22 million. He asks for the protagonist's opinion on the car. Chen Yuan says that Ferraris aren't considered very expensive but not cheap either, and that it might be the perfect gift for President Zhao. The protagonist says if the price is above 20 million the deal is done. Chen Yuan commends Zhang for his effort and says he wants to swipe the card right away. He asks if the car can be delivered to Riverside Villa Community No. 1. The guy, sweating nervously, says he can arrange that. Chen Yuan receives a call from Lu Wenji shouting in his ear. In the next chapter, one of the protagonist's friends says that on his birthday his girlfriend Zhou Jia said she was getting her nails done with a friend, but he grew suspicious since she had been out for a long time. It started to rain and he knew she hadn't taken an umbrella, so in a chivalrous act he went to give her one, but what he saw at that moment would break anyone's heart. He saw her cheating on him in the rain. He tells the protagonist that his heart won't stop hurting since they had a 3-year relationship and he was already planning the wedding to meet her parents. Chen Yuan says it's okay and that he has drunk 8 bottles so it's better to take a break, but the heartbroken guy wants to know how to win her back. The protagonist says he needs to keep his head on straight, that the mistake was hers not his, and loudly tells him he's becoming a bootlicker. The sad guy collapses to the floor, asking the protagonist if it isn't hard to accept and that he can't accept that she betrayed him. The protagonist, now angry, says he needs to learn a lesson and grabs his phone. His friend asks who he's calling and what his plan is. Chen Yuan tells him to relax and trust him, that from now on he will handle everything and he will make sure his ex-girlfriend kneels before him and begs for forgiveness. The protagonist calls the dealership guy, who answers promptly. Chen Yuan says he wants to borrow some cars but nothing too expensive, just those worth over 20 million, and says he needs some trusted friends to drive them tomorrow. The dealership guy says no problem and that he will arrange everything for tomorrow. The protagonist's friend is still confused. Chen Yuan calls Exulial. His friend observes that with just one call he brought a beautiful girl and asks where the Chen Yuan who used to lick girls' boots is gone and why it now seems like she is licking his boots. Hey Exuliel, this is my brother Wenji, said the protagonist, introducing his friend. She is confused, thinking the protagonist called her just to introduce a friend, but she thinks a bit more and creates an idea that maybe he wants her to meet his close friends. But the protagonist quickly responds that it has nothing to do with that and that he just needs her help with a little prank that will happen. The next day the protagonist's friend shows up looking gangster. Zuliel clings to his arm, saying he scared her that the car he bought for her almost hit someone. The protagonist's friend is all nervous and says that if she had hit him there would be no problem, as they could just buy another, stammering a few times. Chen Yuan's friend's ex-girlfriend wonders how he transformed into that guy looking like a second-generation rich kid. She asks if Wenji came there just to show off. He says someone there was barking, stuttering nervously. The ex, pissed, asks what he's doing, asking if he doesn't know she knows his family. She admits her mistake but says he's being shameless acting that way. In the car another friend says that the woman understood everything. The brothers are about to step onto the stage and the show is about to begin, said the protagonist. Several guys arrive in Ferraris. A guy with white hair steps out and asks Wenji if everything is okay and if he recognizes him. Approaching to talk to the new boyfriend of Wenji's cheating ex-little girl, he said his name is Makai, right? His family owns a mine. Had this guy is always a liar, pretending he has something to impress girls. And you think what? That he's a second-generation rich kid. Wake up to reality, man, said the white-haired guy. The guy caught cheating with Wenji's ex asks the white-haired guy to let him go. The white-haired guy says that these guys' tactics never change and that they only manage to fool innocent girls, adding that Wenji's ex is already lost. The girl, now furious at being deceived, goes after the guy she cheated on Wenji with. Wenji just watches and tells everyone to leave, but his ex claims to his leg, begging him not to leave her behind, saying it's not that she only likes luxury but she's just afraid of poverty and asking for another chance. Wenji tells her not to call him by that name and that this is the last time they will see each other, asking her never to contact him again. The guy takes a look around, seeing everyone talking. He tries to leave but bumps into the protagonist's chest. Ken Yuan asks if he wants to flee, but only if he takes 100 slaps. At the bar, everyone driving the Ferraris celebrates finally meeting the famous Mr. Yuan. The protagonist says they don't need to do that and thanks everyone for their help. The guys tell Lu Cigarette that it's all good because he's a friend of Chef Zhang and he doesn't need to be formal with them. The white-haired guy asks if he isn't the guy from the streaming platform News and says he has a request. The protagonist asks what this favor is. The guys are staring at each other. The white-haired guy says he has a favorite streamer but is out of money and asks if Chen Yuan can be a little help. The protagonist, thinking the guys are trying to see how much money the protagonist has. The dealership guy tells the protagonist not to worry, saying it was just a joke, and looks at the white-haired guy, saying if he wants to hit on a girl he should handle it himself. Lou's cigarette slams his glass on the table. The guys imagine he didn't like the joke. The protagonist says the joke was too mild for him because it's just about sending gifts. He says he'll go to the bathroom, leaving his phone on the table for the guy to spend as much as he wants. The guy takes the phone and dignity that he's being allowed to use it freely, trusting a stranger to spend his money. Chen Yuan thanks him, knowing there's no money in the account to pay for all the drinks, but knows the guy can send gifts at will. The protagonist goes to relieve himself. The guy looks around, imagining a dragon against a chick, and mutters, "He good kid." Coming out of the bathroom, Chen Yuan sees everyone gathered, wondering what's happening. "My God, 1004, 1006, damn man," everyone around the table says. The protagonist arrives at the table, asking why they're acting like that. The white-haired guy gets nervous and returns the phone. The protagonist calls him weak because he spent only 20 million while he was in the bathroom. The guys go crazy, wondering if he has more money than a bank. The protagonist is indignant that he only spent 13 million and says not even 20 million as much, saying he'll spend 60 million. The guy grabs his hand, saying it's enough spending, she won't be comfortable with all that money. The dealership guy arrives and tells the white-haired guy that he couldn't win and proposes a toast to Chief Yuan. The guy starts the toast. Honorable Chief Yuan, from now on I follow your leadership. The onlookers wonder who the guy in the middle of the circle is. They say the white-haired guy is quite rich, but he seems to be getting involved with the protagonist. Chen Yuan's phone rings. He takes a look, bidding farewell to the group. The blue-haired guy realizes the protagonist's plan and says he's running away because he doesn't want to pay the bill, but another guy calls him crazy and asks if he didn't see the money spent in front of them, and the guy just agrees. The message was from the little streamer saying she's in town and can't wait to meet him. The protagonist says he's free tomorrow and sends her some kisses. Chen Yuan gives a stare and says that after a long time he will reap the rewards of his kindness. Arriving, she thinks it will just be a date and that with her charm she won't have any problems. The next chapter starts with a huge message. It's from Chutang saying they can start over and that she imagined them traveling the world tasting all the dishes, but when she woke up she saw she was alone and asks for his forgiveness. The protagonist went there, blocked and deleted her contact because of his date with the little streamer. The girl asks what he was doing, but Chen Yuan says it was nothing important and asks what she was talking about. She remembers the boss scolding her, saying he spends more than all her fans in a day, and even if she has to strip and put him to sleep she must capture him. The little streamer thinks that even with her beautiful face he seems indifferent to her and is disheartened that she can't win over. She tries to seduce him with her charm, asking him how he got so rich at such a young age. However, the system sends a message saying her favorability is too high and it's unable to connect. The protagonist realizes he needs to lower her favorability first and wonders what to do. He starts doing disgusting things to lower her favorability to create the connection, like putting his feet on the table. He tells her he's just an unemployed guy who got lucky. She's outraged that he doesn't work but has money to spend. The protagonist says he only uses his father's money and that they are going bankrupt, owing millions to the banks. He says he arranged this meeting to see if he could get back the money he gave her because he spent too much. She is disgusted when he doesn't wash his hands after picking his nose, but at least the protagonist's plan is working as he loses 20 favorability points. She can't take it anymore and asks why he asked her out if he's poor, saying that asking for gifts back shows he's not an honorable person. Lose 20, lose 20, lose 20. She says she must have been crazy to agree to go out with a loser like him. The little streamer calls someone saying she met the protagonist and he keeps bothering her, thinking he might be a stalker. The protagonist is dismayed to find such a dishonest woman, calling her shameless for changing her demeanor so quickly. A guy bursts through the door asking who's bothering his woman. She runs to him saying she was scared to death of the pervert Chen Yuan. The guy ignores her and approaches. Brother Yuan, you're here too, said to shoppy protagonist. The guy is impressed to meet Chen Yuan, saying it's an honor to know him. She is confused, not understanding why Mr. Yuan is being so polite to him. The guy is one of the richest second-generation heirs, owning several industries in the area. He slams the table, calling her stupid, saying she's bothering one of the most important men, calling him poor. She wonders why he's doing this, thinking the protagonist was testing her sincerity and realizing she messed up big time. The little streamer knows she needs to win him back and starts apologizing, begging for his forgiveness. With that, the system connects with her.